guys, Let Rose here, and I'm coming back after a long time of not making videos. Recently just haven't been inspired, but other than that, I wanted to make y'all another tier list video because the other one caught a lot of traction and I got a lot of positive feedback, some negative feedback, so I want to grow off of that. And today I'm bringing y'all two videos. This is going to be the first one I'm making, and I'll post the other one hopefully right after this, if not the next day. And this one is going to be the 2020 ForHonor tier list for duels. And I've seen a few people asking this on different videos and my videos, and it's a really good question because some people like to be duelists and they want to know who to pick if they want to win. I don't necessarily pick a character to win. I pick a character just to have fun or to level them up. But either way, you're fine, whatever you want to do. So I'm gonna bring y'all this tier list. So first up in C tier, we got Shinobi. Shinobi has been a how could I say, a pincushion for Yubi. He has gotten a bunch of nerfs and they just won't let up. He keeps on getting nerfed and I don't really understand why. In my opinion, he was fine before. But in any case, in duels, he doesn't dodge as far anymore off of the lights, as in like backwards. You can get guard broken a lot. Every time you dodge, you don't have hyper armor on the kick. One thing he does have going for him is the automatic deflect, which is good for starter players. I do have to say that. If you're trying to learn deflects, I would definitely start with Shinobi, because you don't have to put in any inputs once you deflect. It's just automatic. And then you have to click the light after if you want to get that. But yeah, there's just not much to say about him. If you've been here for the last, how many months? Maybe, I want to say 4 months, you could see his downfall. He was once a really good character, but is now a walking garbage can, unfortunately. And I was just getting into him at the time when he was good, so it's really unfortunate. Okay, next up on C tier is the newest character to the game, Sunda, or however you want to pronounce it. Y'all can correct me in the comments if you want. But Sunda does not have very much going for him either. The one thing that he does have good about his kit is the unblockable light, which is decently, how could I say it? You're able to parry it fairly often, and the punish for it is a heavy, of course, for almost every character. And that's quite a bit of damage just for throwing an attack that is unblockable. In other cases, you'd be able to feint it unblockable and have out of stamina pressure. But for him, with the light, he does not have that. But his dodging attacks, where it's either on the left or the right side of your character when he dodges, that is very good. But if you parry them, if they're being very predictable, it's a light parry either way. So you get hit with another heavy. It's a different story if you're in Dominions, where you can externally hit people with the unblockables and they don't know the timing of it. And they can't download your character, as in like the way that you play them. But in duels, it's a lot easier to just smack Sundas. But that's my personal opinion. Okay, that's all for C tier. Next in B tier, we got wait, is it Jang Jun? Yep, Jang Jun. So, Jang Jun, in duels, mostly all he can do is lights, or try to use his hyper armor. In my opinion, his hyper armor activates way too slow. His zones, they're fast, decently fast that is, but when you block them, there's basically nothing you can do off of it other than light or feint it unblockable or let it go through. In that case, you're not going to get very much damage with him. You're probably going to get light parried a lot. Your zones aren't going to do a whole lot of damage, and his unblockables come out too slow. His hyper armor is too slow. So all around in duels, he's not going to be a very reliable pick. Next in B tier, we got my man Shugoki. Shigoki has hyper armor, and that's basically what his character is based off of. Other than that, he doesn't have very much to his kit other than the Demon's Embrace, where he gets more health. And that's... I'm not going to say it's terrible, because it's not. When you're out of stamina pressuring someone as Shigoki, it is very good. But his only problem is that he doesn't have a way to get them out of stamina other than headbutts. And the headbutt is very easy to dodge, and it is very predictable. So when you're playing a Shigoki, you're probably not going to be getting people out of stamina, and when you're playing against them, you're probably not going to get out of stamina. Unless you get parried a lot, which is... that happens quite often. And usually you can let heavies fly, because they're more likely to not parry and try to throw light. So if you know your heavy comes out faster than their hyper armor and you have something to follow it up, you're most likely going to out damage them, which is really good, especially in duels. Next up in B tier we got PK. So the problem that I have with PK is her she doesn't have any openers. And that's one of the main things, and she can only feint the heavies into a top unblockable, or not unblockable, top bleed. The one thing about the top bleed is that you can parry it pretty easily, but usually you're just going to want to block it, because she can also soft feint her heavies into guard breaks, which is a lot of damage. But usually, when you turtle up against a PK, there's no way they can unturtle you. The only thing they can do to open you up is guard break or dodge. And you're probably not going to fall for any of that. You're going to be the one putting in damage. As long as you don't let them slip through your guard by dodging, you'll be completely fine. Next up in B tier, we got Raider. So, if y'all watched my last tier list, he was in S tier. But since then, UB nerfed him pretty well, if I do say so. He doesn't have a stunning tap anymore. It's called a storming tap. It doesn't stun the opponent, so you can see perfectly fine, and it does about the same damage as light. It is a good mix-up when you're trying to mix up hyper armor and stuff, but again, in duels you're probably going to be turtling up and not going out of your way to hit people, as you would in DOMs. So this probably won't get you as often, but considering that he is in B tier, it's because the options that he has from his heavies are they're really good. They are. And when you're facing an opponent, they can't really do much, as in I guess predict it. All you can really do is turtle up and then counterattack once there's an opening. But there's no real way for him to open them up either. All he has is a light or a guard break. He has no bashes unless he's running at you. And again, that's probably not going to happen if you're in duels. Next up in B tier, we have Nobushi. So Nobushi has some of the most parryable lights in the game. They are very predictable. The kick usually comes after a light, so you dodge it, and then they either throw a heavy or a light. If they're an experienced Nobushi, then they're probably going to throw a side heavy, which they usually don't feint, so you just parry that. And then if it's a low rep, and you can take this if you're a low rep Nobushi, when you dodge it, people usually throw an overhead light, and people parry that all the time. So you're going to want to throw the side heavy. If you see them not trying to parry overhead, then you just feint it, and you just back off. Her Viper stance is a very good way to open up an opponent, because the kick, and then you can do the bleed lights, you can just dodge attacks with it. Very good all-around stance. But other than that, she can't do much else. So that's it for B tier. Next in A tier is Lawbringer. So one thing with Lawbringer is that he has great out of stamina, what's it called? I forget the word. Pressure, out of stamina pressure. And that's because he has the bash and the unblockable. And the unblockable does a lot of damage, and you can usually get a bash off of it, I believe. I don't think, it's not guaranteed, I know that. But when you're out of stamina against a Lawbringer, you're usually not going to have a good time. His out of stamina punishes do a lot of damage. I don't know how much exactly off the top of my head, but it's 2 overhead heavies, and you usually get the light off of that next, unless you want to throw the unblockable and see what happens. But that's one of his main things, is the out of stamina pressure in duels and his hyper armor on shoves. So he's a big turtle. You're not going to be opening him up a lot. And other than that, he's a really good defensive character. His heavies do a lot of damage. Yeah, but that's just Lawbringer in a nutshell. So, next up in A tier, we have Gladiator. So, Gladiator is... he's really good in duels. His lights come out quick. Heavies and skewer, that gives him out of stamina pressure. He has dodging light, dodging bashes. The bashes don't guarantee anything, but you'll usually get a light or a heavy off of them. His zone is one of the best in the game. Throwing it means that you basically don't have any repercussions. So you can throw it without worrying about getting hit or anything, because if they dodge the bash, that comes first. You can just feint the heavy. And then if they try to dodge attack, you just feint it, parry it, and it's all over with. So, Gladiator, one of the best zones. He's an assassin, so his deflex, very good for wall splatting and just getting a lot of damage overall. But yeah, and his toe stab negates almost every attack if you time it properly. So he shuts people down. That's what his character is basically made for. Okay, next up in A tier we got BP. So Black Prior is it's a weird character to say the least. A bunch of people play them. I could never really get the hang. But yeah, the out of stamina pressure, she can do unblockable heavies from her bulwark stance. The bulwark is very good for predicting attacks, but the guard break punish is always there. Her lights, very good. She has a tracking heavy, and that usually catches people if you just let it go, but that usually only works for people who have dodge attacks, say people like Valkyrie, Kensei, Orochi, people like that. It catches them all the time because they're always trying to dodge and get out of the way, and they'll never think that you're going to throw it, so when you let that undodgeable heavy go, it smacks them in the face. When they're out of stamina, you can throw the unblockable, you can feint it, and then the out of stamina damage that you get is very good for her character, his character. But other than that, it's just a bash heavy character. There's not much else to say. And she has crushing counters on her lights, and whatever that dodging forward attack is, I don't know the name of it. But yeah, that's in A tier. Next in A tier is Centurion. So Centurion is a very good duelist in my opinion. I don't think he's quite S tier, but I think he fits into A quite well. His out of stamina pressure is his kick and his punches. If you dodge his kick, he's going to throw the heavy, and you're probably not going to notice, because most sets don't. But after they do that, they usually get the punch because it catches you off guard. And other than that, he just has out of stamina punishes, like off the walls. His wall splats are great. He's still waiting for that rework, sadly. Other than that, parries, he always gets a heavy. That's very good for his character because it lets him go into his punch combos. But other than that, he's just a very good character all around. Punches, kicks, wall splats, throws you on the ground. Very good character. Next in A tier is Warlord. So Warlord has out of stamina pressure. And this is very good for him because his headbutt takes quite a bit of stamina, like from his opponents. He has hyper armor. He has crushing counters on lights. His zone is very good. He has a full guard stance with 2 punishes. If you're aiming on the left, he's probably going to throw a light, but if you're aiming on the right, he's going to throw an undodgeable heavy. Out of stamina pressure, his headbutts guarantee a light. You're not going to want to get hit with those about 5 times in a row, so you're probably going to dodge, and then he's going to throw you on the ground, get an overhead heavy, headbutt into light, which is quite a bit of damage for his character. I'm not sure if you can get 2 overhead heavies from a throw, I don't play him that much, but if he does, tell me in the comments, because I'm not actually sure. Yeah, so next in A tier we have Valkyrie. Valkyrie is a very good duelist. Lights are quick, heavies can feint into bashes, which guarantee lights. Her sweep does a lot of damage when she gets the heavy. Her out of stamina pressure is, I'd say it's alright. It's not the best in the game, but when she gets you in a guard break or a parry when you're out of stamina, you might as well just kiss half of your health bar goodbye, because she gets 2 light sweep heavy, and it's just a ton of damage. Other than that, she has, like I said, good punishes. She has very good mobility, and she's just all around a good character for any mode. So next in A tier we have Jormungandr. So Jormungandr is a green bar goblin. She will bully your stamina to no end. When you have stamina against a Jorm, that is probably the best you're ever going to be. But once you're out of stamina, you're in the worst possible place, like, that you could be against any character. Especially in duels, because that's 2 bars of health if she gets the bash or the hit, and her out of stamina punish for a throwing is a side light, you like whiff it, unblockable, so that's a bar and a half, and then she jumps on you, so that's another 2 bars. So about 3 bars and a half of your health gone if she gets that out of stamina punish. All around, she has very good hyper armor. She has a tracking second light. Her guard breaks are really good for wall splats, because you get the bash, hit, and then usually you'll get another bash, but if they dodge it, you probably should throw it an undodgeable. But other than that, again, very good all-around characters that are in A tier. Let's keep on going. So next in A tier, we got my boy Aramusha. Aramusha is a very good all-around character because his all-guard lets him have, I believe, I want to say 7 or 8 different types of punishes, but I'm not actually sure about that. I'm probably way overestimating. His feint attacks is where he thrives, because if you don't block there, it is so much damage coming from those heavies, and the lights, he can just keep on going in a chain, because he has an infinite. And he doesn't have very much out of stamina pressure other than just light spamming you to death most of the time. But when he gets that all guard, that's really when he starts to go off and start to go places. But yeah, that's Aramusha. Next we have Orochi. Mr. Wet Noodle here, the boy with a katana that only uses lights. You can use heavies. They do a bar, just about a bar, which is, it's all right for an overhead. But usually when you're playing Orochi, the most viable move is going to be the lights. They come out very quick, especially on console. Usually unreactable. You're able to parry them on prediction most of the time. But if you just mix up your attacks, they'll probably never see it coming. He has very good mobility. His I think it's called Riptide. I'm not actually sure. But it's where you back up into the heavy stance, and then you have 3 different ways of going. Overhead, undodgeable, and then there's the left and right attacks, which don't have any other properties other than a heavy. And then off of that, you can go into a light combo. He doesn't have out of stamina pressure. I'm not sure if I already said that. But if he does get you on the ground, it's 2 overhead heavies, which is quite a bit of damage, because his second heavy, I think, does more. But other than that, usually in duels, he just zones and lights and dodge attacks. But then again, he's better than most characters in a duel situation. Next that we have in A tier is Shaolin. Shaolin, I was on the ropes about putting an S tier in A tier, but I finally decided to put him in A tier because he doesn't have very much out of stamina pressure other than his unblockable. But to get into that, you have to throw either a light or a heavy, and he has how could I say it? Other than Nobushi, he has the most parryable lights in the game that I've seen so far. So when you're trying to get into that stance, you're either going to get parried or they're just going to block it and then light you out of it. But he does have a lot of good things in that stance. He has crushing counters, but it doesn't have to crushing counter if he throws lights on either side. He has undodgeables either side. He can kick into sweep, he can kick into unblockable, he can kick into light. The light's guaranteed, and I think the sweep's guaranteed. And off the sweep you can get the guaranteed 3 lights. The unblockable's not guaranteed, but that's where his out of stamina punishes come in. Other than that, his zone is alright. You only usually get the first part in, but other than that, he doesn't have much else to put up on the table. He has good mobility and all, but I don't think he's quite S tier. And the final one in A tier is Nuxia. So Nuxia is another light spammer, but when she throws traps, you'll usually get caught by it, but if not, then there's not much you can do unless you're pre-throwing a heavy and she traps, which isn't really skill, it's more of a luck type of thing. So her lights come out nearly unreactable. I don't know exactly how how many milliseconds it is, but other than that, traps, mobility, her zone does a lot of damage when you trap it. Her heavies do a lot of damage when you trap it. Her third heavy in the combo, if she lands it, she can wall splat you with it, get a guaranteed overhead heavy, making it a lot of damage. But yeah, not quite S tier, but definitely A tier. So moving on to S tier, we got Tiandi. Tiandi has a really good set of moves, as in hyper armor, light attacks, undodgeables, bashes. He has the works. His zone, amazing. It comes out really fast. You can feint the second part of it. And if you hit the first part, you can feint it into a kick. The kick you can feint into a light and just go into another combo. His stamina doesn't really reflect that, considering how much he has. It's not a lot, but it helps him out quite a bit. Other than that, he doesn't have very much out of stamina pressure, but it doesn't really matter when you have the bashes, which people usually don't dodge anyway, because they expect you just to throw another light after it. Other than that, again, great character for duels. I would definitely pick him. But yeah, that's an S tier. Next in S tier, Hitokiri. Hitokiri has a bunch of 50-50s. Anything that she throws, except for her unblockable, can be switched into a kick, which guarantees a heavy, or a sweep that guarantees a light into another combo. And when you're doing that, if you feint it, you almost get guaranteed a guard break. But if not, and you know your character, or you know the person you're playing against, and you just hold it, you sweep, and you have hyper armor on it, and you just go into another combo. If you get them trapped in that, there's almost nothing they can do about it. Again, very good character. She has a bunch of hyper armor. Out of stamina pressure is insane. Like, if you're out of stamina, you're probably going to get thrown on the ground eventually, or just hit in the face with kicks repeatedly. Either way, great duelist. Definitely a 10 out of 10 pick. Next in S tier, we have Kensei. So, Kensei has always been a very good duelist and Dominion player. So, zone comes out very quick, lights decently fast, and usually has hyper armor on the third part of their combos. He has a bunch of out of stamina pressure. His wall splats get a guaranteed overhead unblockable, and it dazes the opponents when you throw them. It's pretty unique. as far as a playstyle. Very good mobility, hyper armor on, like I said, the third, attack and the combos. So other than that, Kensei has just been a great character as long as I've seen him, and I've been playing this game for about 2 or 3 years. Yeah, so that's why he is in S tier. Next in S tier we have Highlander. Highlander, again, has insane out of stamina punish. His zone isn't that good, but it's memey as hell. His kick into caber toss, it bullies a lot of people. His unblockables have weird timings, so you're not usually going to parry them, but if you do, all you're going to get is a light. He has hyper armor on his second light. He has hyper armor on his first heavy and second heavy. His second heavy on the overhead comes out ridiculously fast, and you're usually not going to be paying attention because once Highlanders throw a light, you think they're going to go into battle stance, but if they throw that heavy, it's about a bar and a half. Other than that, out of stamina pressure, and just normal pressure in general, is insane. His dodges are quick when he's in battle stance. You're usually just going to get hit with unblockables back to back. His lights are the fastest in the game when it comes to his battle stance. Guarantees a heavy. But that's about it for him. Definitely S tier. So next in S tier we have Shaman. Shaman is a very good character for duels. Her bleed, it's 2 different stages with Shaman. When you're trying to bleed someone and when you do get the bleed. When you're trying to bleed someone, you just get to throw heavies because people aren't going to parry them, and they'll usually dodge, so you can dodge as well or parry them. Either way, either one that you like. Her heavies guarantee a zone, and zones almost always guarantee a bleed unless the player that you're playing against knows which way you're going to throw the light. In that case, you should just let the zone ride all the way through the animation. Once you get a bleed, it's guaranteed to get a zone off of the next attack, which lets you get another bleed, or you can feint it and then jump on them. It's just very good all around. Her out of stamina pressure, basically, it's not necessarily out of stamina pressure. It's more of a bleed pressure when you have it on them. It's ridiculous. People are always scared of it. But yeah, that's why Shaman's in S tier. Next in S tier, we have Berserker. Berserker is a hyper armor god. Everything that he feints into has hyper armor. He can out hyper armor anybody in the game. His out of stamina pressure is his overhead unblockable, which he can do at any point in the combo, I believe. What else? His zone comes out very fast and it guarantees 4 hits. Leads you into another combo. His out of stamina parries and guard breaks guarantee big damage. His deflects guarantee a guard break, which is a heavy, which leads into another combo. Basically, his character revolves around getting you into a combo and hoping you can't block. But yeah, definitely S tier in my book. Next, we have Conk. Conk is a very good competitive duelist. He's a turtle, and usually everything you do is going to be guaranteed, and then you could just back off. Getting the bash guarantees a light. His zone, I think, is the best in the game, because it goes into all guard, and you get an attack. If they're trying to attack, and you go into all guard, they try to guard break, and you just zone, and it smacks them away from you. They don't have any choice to back off, or to dodge attack, or anything. Other than that, his out of stamina pressure is his unblockable and his bash. His second bash that he gets in a combo, if you wall splat, guarantees a heavy. He has an infinite combo, no matter which direction it is. Very good for when they're out of stamina and you just want to pressure them as much as you can. But yeah, definitely one of the best characters that I've seen so far. And the last character in S tier is Warden. Warden has been a favorite of mine for a while. but he does have some flaws, but it's just like every other character. But I think he is one of the best duelists in the game. He has 3 tiers of bashes. He has an overhead unblockable for out of stamina pressure. Crushing counter, which does a lot of damage and guarantees another light off of it. What else? Dodging forward heavy, it gets deflected, parried a lot, so you're not really going to be throwing it that often. But mostly what makes him a good duelist is the fact that he can open up turtles by vortexing, throwing the lights, doing the overhead unblockables, and just mixing everything up. A very good zone, and just an all-around good character. I know I keep on saying that, but UB usually does a good job at making every character balanced. Other than, like, Shinobi. I don't know what Shinobi did to them to deserve that. But, yeah. This has been my tier list, and tell me what y'all think. Tell me y'all's opinions. Tell me why you think that. Because I love to hear from it. On my my second to last video, I got to talk to a lot of y'all. I think I responded to every comment, I think. But yeah, it's really fun talking to y'all guys, getting to connect with the ForHonor community, and it's just been a pleasure to make videos for y'all. But yeah, I'm gonna start working on that second video for Dominion here in just a second after I upload this one. So thank y'all, and see y'all later.